Hey everyone, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 MOCs of the Week episode. This is the time of the week when we show you guys the coolest custom LEGO creations we happen to see people building throughout the week. We choose our 10 favorites. They're not really presented in any particular order, just kind of our top 10 generally speaking, and it's just sort of a good time appreciating some awesome custom creations built out of LEGO. Remember, all of the links to the pictures that I'm showing are in the description below. I highly encourage you guys to check out the builders that I'm talking to you about, and I always like to encourage that you guys comment, like, and follow and subscribe and do all that stuff with their accounts if you really like the work that they do. At the end of each episode, it is your turn, the viewers, to show off your creations. We call that the fan creations section. There's a link in the description below, or at least an email in the description below, along with a description of how to submit pictures to us. So if you want to be in next week's episode, just check out what's going on at the bottom of the video, and your pictures will appear next Sunday. Anyways, let's jump right into the very first build now. This is the first one of the top 10. This has come from a longtime favorite builder of ours, Norton 74, and the title of this piece is called Santa is Looking for the Right Christmas Tree. There's lots of fun little subtle details to notice here. Personally, I like the use of the studs with the open holes on the little bush pieces, so you can see the snow kind of hanging off that dead bush there. The build for the truck itself is absolutely excellent. That's an amazing bit of detailing that they fit into the 6-stud wide format. I believe the axe piece he's used for Santa is the one from Itchy and Scratchy, if I'm not mistaken, and also the cookie printed 1x1 round tile on top of the stump of the tree is probably my favorite little detail. Anyways, the snow is excellent. It's just a wonderful little scene all around, and you get nothing but absolutely excellent and complete little builds when it comes to Norton 74. Now moving on to number 9 in the lineup, we've got somebody that I've personally never seen until this week. The builder is Corvus Auriac MOCs, and the title is Steampunk Mini Chess. It hadn't really occurred to me that this was a steampunk themed build until I just read the title. I just loved the embroidered box that he has made for the mini chess, and the fact that he put together such a successful, easy to follow mini chessboard. This is something that you could actually fit into a suitcase or some luggage when traveling, and I have no doubt that it's probably structurally sound and quite sturdy, so it wouldn't be falling apart if you were actually playing around with it. On top of that, the presentation itself is actually very high quality, and like you might be able to guess, you can move all of the chess pieces onto the inside, so of course you don't lose anything. And personally, I just love the functionality and the style of this little build. Number 8 comes from an excellent designer with lots of range in terms of build style. This is from Jonas Kram. It's called Shrine of Nature. There are so many fun details to notice about this MOC. Let me just start from the top maybe and move my way down. We have this wonderfully colorful brick-built bird at the top. It's made with a couple of different, very colorful hair pieces. I like the blue mohawk and the pink hair. As you move down, there's lots of wonderful little builds for vines and leaves, and there is that excellently used repetitive embroidery of the stone that slowly but surely starts to glow, sort of this magical lime green and eventually white. At the bottom, you got a few more creative builds for plants and flowers, lots of offerings, as many shrines usually have, and generally speaking, it is just a super complete and wonderfully detailed little build all the way through and through. Now, the MOC that takes the number 7 spot is titled Hugin, which I think is, according to the description, it's the name of one of Odin's 2 ravens, so this is a raven build. It's done by the designer Bridget Johnsgaard, and it is just kind of a wonderful blackbird build. Personally, I think the strongest point behind this MOC is the fact that we've got some differences between some studded look and some very smooth tiled over looks to the feathers, and they happen to correspond, or at least they look like they go hand in hand with how long and slender the feathers would look on the bird at the time. So for example, you've got the smaller kind of puffier feathers along the chest, there's more studs exposed there, while the longer feathers are almost all totally studless. You can tell that the designer really is very familiar with how this particular type of creature looks in all the different angles. I think there was a lot of time spent dedicated to really getting the proportions and these stances just right for this model. Bridget seems to be an incredibly solid builder. I highly recommend you check out her Flickr. And then next up is also a designer we've featured only for the first time right here. This is from Exsandbox, and their latest design is called Container House. I know at least I've we've seen some very kind of swanky modern houses being built from old shipping containers like the ones that you see here, and they've become kind of a fashion statement, or at least a fashionable kind of architectural approach that has come about in maybe the past 5-10 years or so. The outsides are painted in nice pastel sort of colors, and the builder was kind enough to leave some wonderful doors that open up on the side so you can see the fully fleshed out, modern, almost swanky interiors. If you're into Lego architecture at all, Exsandbox definitely has some really high quality stuff under their belt, and also just some very interesting, wonderful, and kind of strange other builds as well. So, like I've said before, this is the first time we've shown this particular builder off for top 10 mocks. Highly recommend you check out their Flickr. And here we have a build from Patrick Biggs, or actually two. I couldn't really decide which of his latest ones I liked better. This blue and black figure is called Poppet Primus Suit Edition, and is actually an updated version of a brick-built figure done by, I guess, a friend designer. And then I think I'd like this one more now that I'm just looking at it again. This is the Sun Dragon. He's got some wonderful descriptions that outline, I think, a little bit more depth to the characters if you go onto the Flickr page, but honestly, the builds really do hold so much wonderful detail that you can get a pretty good idea that these characters hold a lot of sort of deeper meaning, I would say. The Sun Dragon one looks pretty amazing. I just really like the fact that he looks like he's floating, but in fact being held up by his tail. He's wearing a rather regal gown and looks a bit royal, yet his demeanor makes him feel a bit more welcoming and approachable, I would say. While Poppet looks like something, an assassin or some type of modern dystopian, futuristic, robotic, or at least highly technologically advanced super soldier. And now that I've said that, I'm reading down through the description. All right, okay, he says it's Samus inspired, so I think I was running along a similar path. And then if you've been paying attention to the numbers, this is number 4 in the lineup from the builder Anthony Wilson. We have Vey the Coffee Dragon. Initially, the overall shape and size of this dragon feels like it could be, what's the name of that dragon from Mulan? Hey, Mike, what's the name of the dragon from Mulan? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Mushu? Is his name Mushu? His name is Mushu. Okay. Right, so it could look like Mushu, but honestly, that's just a similarity in size and sort of color, because Mushu is also red. But really, the shape of his face and head and wings, and also limb proportions, it really is a totally different creature altogether. And even the pose and stance kind of gives him his own unique personality. I feel like he's maybe a little bit more of a serious coffee dragon. Maybe that's just the impression I get, but the cartoony body looks wonderful perched on top of this small coffee machine. And it looks like he's holding some fresh coffee beans in his hands. Maybe he roasts them himself, if I had to take a guess. All right, let's jump into top 3 now. This is what you guys saw on the thumbnail. We have the Star Wars Trench Run by Olive Sion. As far as I know, a lot of the builds that come from this guy are works from a much larger group of dedicated builders in South Korea. And from the looks of it, I would say this is a minifig scale, or nearly minifig scale, size of the trench. In fact, you can't even see the other wall. This is just kind of purely built for an open display. I absolutely love the openness of this and the incredibly detailed outline we have against all of the gray backdrop. There is no space whatsoever for missing details, and I think this is probably the most ambitious surface level I've ever seen for anything that's ever been a trench run out of Lego, which there have been a lot of very large mocks in the past. Personally, I think the build could have used maybe a better X-Wing or TIE Advanced or TIE Fighters, cough cough, but no, for real, everything here just looks absolutely awesome. When you flip the whole thing around, there's tons of interior, lots of lighting, and I'm sure there's all kinds of fun Easter eggs and little jokes hidden by the designers, like you would usually get from a large-scale mock like this. I hope one day to see this at a convention if I'm ever in South Korea again. And then this next build, or 2 builds, come from Jeff Works. You might know him from some some of his other amazing micro-scale cities and little mini worlds that he builds. Well, these are the next two that have come from him. They're a little smaller and in a slightly different format from the squares that at least he's been known for in the past, but the detail and sort of atmosphere, so to speak, that come from his normal works has not changed at all. They're really nice. You have sort of this medieval castle. It's got a drawbridge and these wonderful pieces used that make up the clear waterfall. I think there's a dragon resting behind one of the waterfalls. And then the second build is a little simpler. It looks like maybe fall. All the trees are missing their leaves at least. And then this is at least a church or a smaller castle or something like that, and a nice little coastline as well. Highly recommend you check out this Instagram. You will not regret it. Every single world this guy makes, it just has such a wonderful, unique, and kind of warm feeling. That's often the feeling I get when I check out the builds that come from JeffWorks. And now let's check out the final one. There's just some amazing techniques used here. This is from David Zambido, the #1 build of the week. It's called Winter Cottage, and Mike and I agree there's basically no better slope building technique for snow, or at least we haven't seen something quite this good before. David just manages to fit so many different advanced building techniques together seamlessly without you hardly noticing. I love how the pathway is built with all the side bricks and the plates kind of wedged in between with probably mostly just friction, but they're built actually between completely studded in snow that goes all the way down the side. You can't really tell that that technique changes, at least not immediately. And then we have a wonderful build for snow embedded on top of the ice. Usually when there's ice frozen there, people don't bother to put that extra bit of layer of snow. It looks amazing. And then you guys might have noticed that weird and strange rounded stone look that he managed to capture at the base of this cottage. From my guess, they're inverted 2x2s, and then tons of those little bar pieces that have that kind of mixel joint, that little round joint piece that's poking out the end. There's also a few other shapes and sizes sticking out as well. I mean, I don't even want to know how that was constructed on the inside. It does not look like it's simple or that it was built quickly. This is a really advanced model, and this is something only a very experienced and dedicated builder could manage to put together, just with all the different advanced building techniques. I know it might not be one of the flashier models that we've seen today, but personally I found this one to be the most impressive. So anyways, there's a ton of models like every week that I just don't have time to talk about or show you guys. They're flashing by the screen now. They're also linked in the description below, and I also recommend you check out those mystery links. And well, thanks so much for watching, guys. It is now time to show you the fan creations of the week. Hey everybody, just jumping in very quickly. I'd like to let you guys know that we've got ourselves a Lego web store. That is www.brickvault.toys, where we sell these step-by-step PDF instructions for some incredibly high quality MOCs. The revenue from the web store helps support us here at the channel, as well as the incredibly talented designers that spend all the time, effort, and energy making these amazing builds. I really do recommend that you guys go check out the web store. That's www.brickvault.toys. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.